They said it couldn't be done, not because it was impossible, but because their entire world relied on that word, impossible, a shield for the weak, a hymn for the hollow, a prayer whispered by those too scared to try, dressed up as wisdom. They branded it untouchable, filed it under never, and dared anyone to touch it. You didn't just touch it. You picked it up, turned it over in your hands, and used it as kindling. And when you walked through that fire, grinning like you already owned the ashes, they didn't see a champion. They saw a joke, a glitch in the system, a storm wearing a smile. But storms don't care what you call them. They just move. You didn't come in with a fanfare. No red carpet, no invitation, no nod from the gatekeepers. You showed up like thunder, in a silent room. Not loud, but undeniable. They were waiting for someone polished, someone who begged for entry, someone who needed their approval to breathe. What they got was someone who didn't even knock, someone who walked in like the door had always been open. Because to you, it was. That's the first thing they never understood. You weren't trying to fit into their world. You were building one beside it. And when yours stood taller, they called it arrogance. It wasn't. It was alignment. You weren't louder. You were clearer. And clarity cuts deeper than noise. They looked at your scars and called them flaws. You wore them like receipts. Every betrayal, every closed door, every back turned in silence. You didn't cry over it. You studied it. You sharpened your mind on rejection, turned pain into protein, and taught your heartbeat to lift weights in the dark. You weren't chosen. You were forged, welded together by trials that would have broken most people in half. And when they said you didn't belong, that's because you were never designed to bow. Now their voices crack when your name slips into conversation, not because you're angry, not because you're loud, but because inevitability doesn't need a microphone. It just is. And the moment they realize you're not chasing their throne, you're changing the gravity of the room. That's when the flinching starts. It's subtle, a twitch in the jaw, a sip of water held a second too long, eyes that suddenly find the floor interesting. That flinch isn't respect, it's recognition. Their bodies know what their pride won't admit. You're not playing by their rules. You rewrote them. You didn't just break the game. You shattered it, swept the shards into your pocket, and started building something new from the wreckage. And the funniest part, they still pretend it was luck. Must have had help. Perfect timing. Right place. Right time. No, luck doesn't wake up at 3 a.m. with a to-do list written in scars. Luck doesn't swallow screams and call it breakfast. Luck doesn't turn no into a hinge and swing an entire world open. You didn't get lucky. You got relentless. And relentless isn't a mood. It's a machine. They didn't see the years you spent in the basement. Not hiding, but reconning. Learning which walls were fake, which doors squeaked, which promises were just noise. While they posed for photos on rental thrones, you were naming every pipe by sound, laughing with the spiders, memorizing the blueprint in the dark. You didn't need a map. You memorized the cracks in the concrete. And when the pressure hit, when the system tried to crush you, they burst like soda shaken for clout. You fizzed on command. Because you weren't just surviving the explosion. You rewired the building mid-collapse, walked out with the blueprints in your pocket, and whistled on the way down. That's why their gossip dies early around you. It can't breathe at that altitude. Rumors trip over their own feet trying to keep up. That's the tax on truth. The higher you rise, the harder lies travel. And when they whisper your name now, it's not mockery. It's a password they're scared to use. They feel the audit coming, the math of consequence finally balancing the books. You didn't come for revenge. Revenge is small. You came for balance. Every slight became a decimal, every betrayal a line item, every maybe later that turned into silence. Logged, calculated, compounded. Then one night, you closed the ledger, snapped it shut, like a jaw, and decided the waiting was over. That's when the air changed. That's when the so-called kings started smiling wider, sending so proud of you messages like, bubble wrap for their guilty conscience. Keep those messages, archive them, frame them under Exhibit A. The day they pretended they believed. You don't need to correct them. Truth doesn't need defense, it needs momentum. And yours? It's already 3 moves ahead. They keep asking for your secret, as if there's a pill, a mentor, a shortcut. So tell them, it's public. Pain, practice, persistence, pettiness, all simmered on low flame until the pot learned your name. Let them taste it. Let them guess the spices while their eyes water. Tell them it's simple. Then go right back to stirring. Your calm is what terrifies them most. Rage? They can monetize that. Tears? They can package that. But you, surgical, smiling, 5 steps ahead, humming while you rearrange the skyline. That's a different species of threat. You don't announce storms. You adjust the barometric pressure and watch their umbrellas choose honesty or splinters. They thought you wanted a seat at the table. You wanted the whole floor plan. They thought you needed permission. You were memorizing blueprints in the dark and folding them into paper airplanes to test the wind. When you walked in laughing, they mistook it for arrogance. It wasn't. It was arithmetic. You'd already solved for X while they were still arguing about the alphabet. That's why their tongues stumble now. Why their confidence buffers like bad Wi-Fi when your name drops. Their group chats freeze. Their courage crashes to desktop. Funny how the signal of inevitability overrides their entire network. You didn't just flip the script. You repossessed the stage and installed dimmers. They came for applause. You came for acoustics. You tuned the room to your frequency until weak echoes died of altitude sickness. They handed out never like parking tickets, sure you'd pay and move along. You balled theirs up, tossed it in your pocket with the rest of the confetti, and built a parade out of violations. That's why they watch you like thunder, counting seconds between your grin and the impact, hoping distance will save them. It won't. The sky doesn't care how far you run. They call you unpredictable because you don't use doors. Doors are for negotiations. You prefer walls. You prefer the sound they make when reality remembers you're exempt. They invested in locks, passwords, velvet ropes. You learned the hinge, the rhythm, the soft spot where access denied turns into, of course, right this way. You're not in their system. You are the maintenance code. Try explaining that to a house built on optics. Every picture frame tilts when you pass. Every chandelier swings like it's trying to remember the lyrics to your name. Your receipts aren't screenshots, they're skylines. The city is your notary. Every block you survive signs another affidavit in neon. The difference between you and them. Simple. They harvest eyes. You harvest outcomes. They keep the spotlight. You keep the fuse box. So when the lights cut and the crowd panics, you're the one still smiling in the dark. Because you've been here before. Elbows deep in the circuitry, teaching the night how to hum your melody. That hum is why rumors can't sprint anymore. That hum is why their certainty trips. Let them file grievances with destiny. Let them write open letters to inevitability. Meanwhile, you clock in where pressure lives. You do HR for consequences, payroll for persistence, benefits for believers. They wanted the title untouchable embroidered on a jacket. You earned it in welts. They rented crowns for photo ops. You forged one from fire and wore it like a habit. You didn't chase the throne. You made the ground volunteer, and it did. Gladly. Because it's tired of holding up people who only stand when the camera's on. Remember when they said impossible? Frame it. Engrave the timestamp. That word paid for your runway, funded your engines, and still thinks it owns the air. You taught the air to split on cue. You taught gravity to rethink its policy. That's the joke they can't laugh at. Your punchlines are structural now. You don't drop mics. The building leans in. You don't make waves. The tide checks your calendar. You don't take space. Space practices hospitality when you're en route. So keep your grins serrated. Keep your mercy minimal. Keep your gait unhurried, like deadlines owe you rent. Keep your pockets loud with quiet victories. The kind that rattle when you move and scare small talk into witness protection. They'll keep flinching at your syllables. Keep repainting history with trembling hands. Keep calling you lucky, because admitting you're deliberate would bankrupt their brand. Let them. Your existence is the audit. Your laughter is the late fee. Your next step is the collection. And when they finally ask, eyes soft, voice round, what do we call someone who did the impossible and made it look like a light stretch? Don't answer. Just walk past. And let the room translate on your behalf. The floors will level. The walls will confess. The crowns will grip with both hands. And your name, the one they once chewed like glass, will glide out of their mouths, smooth as a verdict, heavy as a promise, final as a gavel, because by then everyone will know what the gangsters learned the hard way. You were never after their permission. You are the policy. They'll draft committees to study your weather, convene panels to name your thunder, file white papers on why the ground keeps leaning when you pass. Let them publish theories. You're not a phenomenon. You're a policy change. They wanted a loophole. You rewrote the bylaws in permanent marker and stapled the door shut behind you. That twitch they get when your name enters the room. It's not drama. It's the body remembering the night it had to renegotiate its pride. You didn't argue. You notarized. They'll try to launder their doubt through new fonts and friendlier smiles. Like graphic design can forgive arithmetic, it can't. The math remains. Every never became a decimal. Every slight got tabulated, and the sum finally confessed. You didn't clap back. You compounded. You didn't trend. You accrued. And now, your silence carries interest so heavy, the carpet strains under it. They'll send emissaries with soft hands asking for collaboration, which is cute code for reclamation. You'll shake their hand like a locksmith humming at a hinge. Polite. Already knowing the lock's been passed. Access isn't the prize to someone who builds exits. They'll keep practicing your name in softer lighting, hoping the vowels stop biting. They won't. Your vowels have teeth. They learn to eat winters. They'll ask for the origin story like it's a museum tour, like pain comes with docents and gift shops. You'll let them browse. The busted nights, the quiet blitzes, the seasons where even your shadow was late. Then you'll close the wing at noon. Because resilience never promised unlimited hours, the miracle clocks out for meal breaks. The work keeps eating. They'll study your grin, searching for the trick, as if there's a trap door hidden between your teeth. There is. It drops straight into a workshop where you turned insults into inventory and rejection into raw materials. You don't hoard trophies. You stockpile tools. That's why your victories don't squeak when they move. That's why the floor straightens itself when your footsteps arrive. The building remembers who did the maintenance. They'll try to litigate your inevitability, calling witnesses who only knew you in prologue. Let them swear on paperback certainty. Your cross-examination is gravity. You don't take the stand. The room does. Every bulb testifies. Every wall confesses. Every crown shows fingerprints it doesn't recognize, and then remembers your laugh. They'll label your calm menace, because they've only seen power perform, never power prepare. Your quiet isn't empty. It's loaded. It counts down, without sound. It adjusts the pressure, and lets their umbrellas choose honesty or splinters. They'll wonder if you're done. You won't say a word, because the next chapter doesn't require witnesses. Keep the crown tilted, for ventilation. Keep the throne light, because you deadlift realities. Keep the ledger open to new deposits of awe. And if their hands still shake at your name, let them. Shaking is just the nervous system signing the receipt. Here's the fine print, printed large enough for their pride to read without squinting. You were never after applause, access, or approval. You were after accuracy. You came to correct the record, to remind the room what work sounds like when it stops apologizing. They can staple revisions to yesterday until the paper cuts start telling secrets. You'll be 3 skylines away. Calibrating the future, teaching the horizon to pronounce you. So keep walking. Like deadlines owe you rent, and fear is behind on payments. Keep laughing, like thunder. Keep timing. Because the next chapter doesn't start when they're ready. It starts when you breathe. And if they still don't get it, if they still squint at your name, like sunlight at midnight, give them the mercy they never gave you. None. Let the record show. You didn't beg. You didn't bargain. You didn't bend. You arrived. Inevitable, inconvenient, undeniable, and made the myth look like warm-up drills. That's why they flinch, not because you're loud, but because you're proof. Proof that pain can be fluent, that silence can be sculpted, that a soul built in the basement can own the skyline. Keep moving. The room will translate. The crowns will learn grip. And your name? It won't just echo. It will calibrate the world, until everything that doubted you is forced to speak in your frequency, or fall quiet.